Hey there, Proud Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Proud Show. It's the show all about having and living the blue collar business dream. And I know I'm talking to some of you out there who have been with us since day one, when we were guys in trucks, all the way through 2 years of recording and bringing you excellent content, helping solve some of the biggest problems you've got. And we want to continue that process. And I want to tell you a little bit about it. But my name is Carter Harkins, and with me every single week here is Taylor Hill.
Hey, man, how are you?
Good. I want to just tell everyone really quickly, why we're making some changes to the show format that are coming up literally just like next episode. You know, we're going to be talking about some of the what we've learned over 2 years of producing this show, talking with our guests, but also talking with listeners and business owners about the biggest challenges that they face in their business. And we've started to realize that you and I were uniquely positioned to be able to help with some of those really challenging and daunting things, problems and issues. A lot of it is around those 10 principles that we've written about in our book, Blue Collar Proud, but also, some things that we've gotten even more drilled down on and specific about. And we're having trouble finding a lot of the guests that can talk about some of those things, and rather than being a guest-driven show, we want to be a topic-driven show around those topics that we want to go deeper with. We want to help you solve those problems more. And we want to do that with the expertise that we feel like we've gained, not only in the 2 years of doing the show, but in years of being in business. So we're excited about that. And it's going to be a little bit shorter too.
Oh yeah, I think one of the things that happens is we go long and they go long and everybody goes long and we all think it's good stuff, but the world is a busy place. We're busy, we're headed different places, and one of my favorite comments is, if you guys could just do it so I can listen to on my morning run. It's just a little bit more than my morning run.
To which I say, we need to run longer, farther. No, I'm kidding.
But actually, I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff in here. And I think being topic-driven instead of just interview-driven is going to let us just drill in on topics, be a little bit more succinct, and get to the point and really get some really actionable things that people can do on a weekly basis. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we just wanted to tease that a little bit because that's coming up, and we definitely want your feedback. If you've been listening for a while, then obviously you like something about the show. But I'm hoping that as we get more specific, that's going to be even more meaningful to you. Get more to the meat of the subjects that we've been talking about and sharing with you some of the things that we feel like we know and have learned about these particular issues and pain points that you're experiencing. So it's going to be good. But this week, we are really excited about an interview that we did with Sam Johnson. He's the blue collar guy, if you look for him on Facebook. He comes from the automotive world, and, he's just absolutely just articulate about some of the things that we've been talking to him about. And one of those things that we've talked to him about several times here recently is hiring, actually twice now, is hiring. And we're going to talk to him a third time today about some specific outside-the-box type hiring things. So without further ado, we're going to bring Sam Johnson on and talk.
All right.
Hey, Sam, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be back.
So I want to talk today about outside-the-box hiring, because I think that's something you've done exceptionally well just in our talking with you. You're not looking for the guy who has 20 years experience or even 5 years experience. You're willing to hire a high schooler or somebody who's got, the raw material that you can work with and then mold them into what you want. What are some of the advantages of going that route?
Well, there's multiple different advantages, and a couple of the high point ones that I would list is ultimately at the end of the project, you end up with a culture of people that you've helped build. So the investment that you've put into them, they return to the investment in your business, and that's the high level. So like at the end of the of a 2-year, 3-year run of practicing this practice, that's what you start to see. Now let's roll it back to the simple nuts and bolts, which is why even go down that road, because it isn't without its own hurdles, but it does bring a lot of opportunities that may not be afforded by targeting your tradesman or your particular craftsman or woman to bring right in who already has a skill set, who's already working for somebody else who's just switching jobs. And so, we've done everything, and I mean, across the board, we've done some really wild ones. In my towing operation, we were always looking for dispatchers, and it doesn't afford a very high wage, and there's a lot of weird hours of shift work, and it can be, the person has to be a multitasker and familiar with technology and able to, utilize the phone, the computer, the texting services, and the two-way radio almost simultaneously. What they do in their given day, I can't even keep up with it. And we kept running through dispatchers because for the amount of money you were willing to pay, it was really tough to get the type of high level talent you needed to think on their feet and be problem solvers. And so instead of continuing down this, repetitive path of hire and fire and hire and fire, I started reaching out to the local communities and getting to college age students that needed flexible schedules, who were on a path to do something, bigger with their life. They weren't trying to set up to become a dispatcher. One of them that we had was literally in school to become a doctor. And so that they're going to leave, and that they're not going to stay with you. But the timeline in which you get them and what we are able to give them as benefits that other people may not think about as a benefit, such as some of my hardest shifts to cover were my late night or weekend evening shifts. Well, the perfect person is a college age student who's seeking a higher education, who needs study time, and now they're getting paid for it. So I would allow them to bring their studies in, and I would allow them to work on that while they dispatched my 24-hour-a-day towing operation. And then the quality and caliber of employee I ended up with was a super high level, very high functioning individual. And the wages were really, let's be honest, mom and dad wanted them to cover their insurance and their fuel and their light expenses because they were already in, a college program to go, down the road. And I've got a kid that's working for me right now who's working on his accounting degree. I've had doctors. I've had some other, taking their business degrees and things of that nature. And so that's worked out well. The other thing that we've done is we've reached out to the local surrounding fire departments and paramedic schools. And it's a very long process to get into that trade. So a lot of times they end up having to wait on a waiting list. Well, they like being out in the elements. They like being next to the incidences and working the roadside and doing those things. And so we brought those guys in, and again, temporary transitional work, but it allowed for you to get a high level, high caliber person who wanted to kind of work in the emergency responder field as a tow operator, who traditionally wouldn't apply for that job, but it allowed them to work around law enforcement and around paramedics and firefighters. Now, inside of our body shop and some of our other lines of automotive that we do, we have also found that, finding that individual that maybe life has kind of challenged them a little bit, and, they don't have the robust resume, and they don't have the skill set. I mean, they literally don't have the skill set. They have no skills at all. But through the local church communities that we've, embedded ourselves into, and through some of the nonprofits and things inside of the community, they put you in touch with, or you get an opportunity to get in touch with somebody who is really trying to make strides. Maybe it's a single parent, single dad, now has a small child, he has more responsibilities than he had previously when he was making poor decisions in life. And so now he's trying to get on the right path. And again, we hire them in at an entry-level position so that we can evaluate them and we can see, what are your work ethics? Are you going to show up? Because, I mean, even the high caliber people you hire, even when you get the great tradesperson, 9 times out of 10, the management problems don't come from the craft or the skill or the repair work. Yep. Sometimes, yes. I mean, certainly quality comes into play. But what happens is you start looking at some core. Who is this person? How do they carry themselves? Are they willing to work as a team? Do they care about the work product that they're putting out? And you can evaluate all of those things with somebody who's sweeping the floor, dumping the trash, and cleaning the restrooms. Do they show up? Do they care about the quality of the job? Do they carry themselves in integrity? Are they willing to work alongside your other employees? And when there's a problem or an issue, do they jump in to help? Once you've kind of figured out that, oh, there's that guy. Yeah, he's sweeping the floor, and yeah, he's doing janitorial work, but he shows up every day, and everybody loves working around him. They enjoy him. Your office staff and your receptionist is making jokes with him, or they're enjoying the pleasantries of good morning and how his life's and how's your son, and those things that go on that are, those tell you that this individual is a good fit for the team. Then when you put in front of them, hey, how would you like to not be the janitor for the rest of your life? How would you like to learn how to become a technician? Here's the path. We're going to put you alongside a journeyman technician who's a senior tech who, in this particular case, he makes $65,000 to $85,000 a year. And of course, their eyes light up a little bit because that's a significant amount more than what they're making today. And we're going to show you the path to get to that. And so it's an investment from you. It's an investment from your business. It's an investment from your staff. But at the end of the day, and at the end of the month, and at the end of the year, you end up with somebody that you've taught the way you want the trade done. For me, in my case, it was repairing automobiles. And we have a certain standard, and that was the standard we expected. I know by training this guy that he's going to achieve that standard, and he's going to hold the line on that standard, because we've brought him from somebody with no skill set up to the skill set that we expect and demand. He's not coming over from somebody else and trying to tell me, well, we used to do it this way, or at the other shop we did it that way, or what have you. They really don't know any different because you're the guy that taught them. And then what happens is, even when your competitors start to realize, boy, you really have some talent inside your shop, I'm going to come after your talent. I'm going to steal your talent. I'm going to, $1, $2, $3, $4 an hour more wages, and we're going to get them. Well, guess what? It's not the only advantage in my shop. You can't steal the tech for a couple bucks an hour because he doesn't trust you the way that they trust us. We have a relationship that's deeper than just the dollar. I mean, certainly, if someone comes in and changes their life and doubles their income, you're going to lose a few people to that. But the reality is that's not usually the case. Usually everybody's around town headhunting for a buck or two, or a small percentage more. And your total benefit package becomes not just the 401k, the health benefits, and the wage, and how much vacation I get a year. Your benefit package is, you took me from the janitor to the journeyman level technician. I can paint a car. I can fix a car. I have self-worth. I have skill set. I have a future here in this business. In fact, I feel like I have ownership of this company because I helped build it. And then when they get to the level of journeyman level tech, guess what? You just turn around and do it again. And you find the next young guy, and then this journeyman level technician who's grown up inside your walls now gets the next youthful guy and helps him grow up. And one of the great stories that just transpired is such a cool story. We had a kid that started out working for us. His dad worked for us, and he'd come in on the summers at 14 and 15 and work part-time and do some things. And he eventually came up through our program, and he became a journeyman level tech. He had never worked at another shop. And he was about 26 or 7 years of age. And a guy offered him a job, and it was a very good offer. And he came to me, and he actually sat down with me and said, Sam, I don't know if I should leave. And I think most people in my position would give him 100 reasons why he shouldn't leave, and he should stay with me, and look what I've done for you, and all these things. And I did exactly the opposite. I said, you know what, James, you have to leave. And you don't have to leave because I want to lose you. You have to leave because you've only known this job. And there's an opportunity out there, and you'll never know what it is for you if you don't take the opportunity. And the cool part of this story is, not only did he take the opportunity, and of course he did well because he's a great guy and he's a great tech, and he took all the things that we loved about him and he applied it inside this job. And then that guy said, hey, would you like to buy my body shop? And so he gets a chance to bootstrap his own purchase. And then he owns his business. And then somebody comes into town and offers to buy that from him as a consolidator. It's a big effort that's going on inside our industry as bigger companies are buying out smaller companies. He happened to be in the right place and position. He's in his early mid-30s. He's got 2 small kids and a wife, and he's got a great life built for himself. And somebody comes in and offers him the right amount and buys up his body shop. And the cool part about that is I've stayed in contact with him the whole time. And even though he's a peer, maybe even a competitor of our industry, he was on the far, far north side of town, really not what I would consider a competitor. And I got to watch this whole transition and watch the things that came into his life and know that I had a hand in that I had an opportunity to watch him grow and prosper. And it took him from literally learning how to work on cars and learning how to turn wrenches and learning how to take bumpers off to being a journeyman level tech, to buying his own shop, and then eventually being able to have the right exit strategy and now have his own wealth to decide where he wants to invest in his next venture. And I maybe that's intimidating for some people to hear. I can't tell you how much that fills me up to watch that take place, because I know that I had a hand in that, and you've improved somebody's life and you've added value. So, I mean, there's just a few of the bullet points of why do you invest in people that aren't already trained or aren't already certified or aren't already skilled. And I'm here to tell you, with today's labor shortage that we have in the trades, every single business I'm in contact with that is thriving and growing and is out there just killing it, honestly, they're either running their own recruiting program or they're running their own educational program inside, and they're starting from the ground up, and they're all really embracing this build your own tradesman apprenticeship program, educational internal and educational program, and they're bringing in, it's 20, 25 students at a time. They're probably graduating 4 or 5 of those students, but the caliber of that 4 or 5 students is probably tenfold what anybody else is hiring off the street. They're well vetted. They've got your quality and craftsmanship and expectations instilled in them, and then their loyalty back to that particular company is just, it's leaps and bounds above what you're getting by hiring somebody out of a trade school.
Man, I cannot even add a single word to what you've just said. You have so perfectly summarized our philosophy of hiring, of culture, of meaning in the work that you do, and finding places where you can contribute back to your employees and your communities. Dude, thank you, Sam. I appreciate it so much. The only thing I'm going to ask you is to tell people where they can find out more information about you online.
Absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity. TheBlueCollarGuy.com. You can search The Blue Collar Guy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can see some interviews, and you can even find the interviews I do with the Blue Collar Proud Show, and those are the best ways to connect with me.
Awesome. Sam Johnson, everybody, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome, guys. Great talking to you again.
You too.